Why does the person who pushed you away suddenly start thinking about you when you're gone? It's not random, it's psychology in motion. If you've ever been involved with someone avoidant, you know the pattern. Closeness triggers a retreat, they pull back just as things get real. But then when you finally walk away for good, something shifts. That's when the obsession begins. And it happens for a very specific, predictable reason. Avoidant individuals aren't wired to process emotions in real time. For them, deep feeling is an experience, it's stored. Intimacy feels like a threat, a potential loss of self. So while you're present, their primary focus is on managing that perceived threat-creating distance, setting walls, maintaining control. You are the variable they're trying to manage. But when you remove yourself completely, the equation changes. You're no longer a problem to be solved. You become a memory to be processed. And that's when their internal system built on delay finally kicks into gear. At first, they feel relief. They got the space they seem to crave. They tell themselves this is better, easier. This is their conscious mind doing what it always does, avoiding. But beneath that conscious relief, something else is stirring. Their subconscious, which has been quietly recording every moment of connection, begins its work. Without your physical presence as a trigger for their defenses, their mind starts to wander. It replays conversations, it revisits moments of vulnerability. The version of you they resisted starts to become the version they miss. This is the critical shift. Avoidants need to feel in control of the emotional thermostat. When you are the one creating distance by walking away, you seize that control. You are no longer a participant in their push-pull dance. You've left the dance floor. And what does the human mind do with something it once had access to but now can't reach? It starts to want it. Scarcity creates value. Your absence makes you psychologically valuable in a way your presence never could. But here's the crucial mistake most people make. They misinterpret this obsession as love. It is not. What you are witnessing is not a sudden awakening of deep affection. It is the collision of two powerful forces, their deep-seated fear of abandonment and their brain's delayed emotional processing. They aren't reaching out because they've had an epiphany about your worth. They're reaching out because they can't stand the unfamiliar feeling of having truly lost you. It's a reaction to discomfort, not a realization of love. For the avoidant, absence doesn't make the heart grow fonder. It makes the mind start to panic. So what is actually happening inside their mind? Let's break down the psychology. Avoidants don't struggle with attraction. They struggle with what comes after: consistency, vulnerability, emotional dependence. These are the triggers. So when they feel a genuine pull towards someone, their instinct isn't to lean in, it's to lean out. It's a protective reflex, often forged in childhood, that equates closeness with pain, engulfment, or loss. Their strategy is to maintain connection at a manageable distance. They give enough to keep you hooked, but withhold enough to feel safe. This isn't a malicious game, it's a survival mechanism. This delicate balance only works when you are still orbiting them. The moment you implement true no contact to clean, complete break, their entire system is upended. That comfortable control distance they curated vanishes. You are simply gone. And this is where their wiring works against them. Avoidance process big emotions in isolation. They don't feel the loss in the moment of separation. They feel it weeks, sometimes months later, when the quiet becomes too loud to ignore. Without you as a distraction, their mind, which was once focused on the threat of you, now has nothing to focus on but the memory of you. And memory has a funny way of editing. It starts to filter out the conflicts, the anxieties, the reasons they pulled away. It highlights the laughter, the connection, the inside jokes. It begins to idealize. What they once viewed as suffocating, they now view as a missing piece. The emotional intensity they ran from becomes the very thing they crave, precisely because they can no longer have it. This triggers their core wound, the fear of abandonment. It was always there, buried under layers of independence and self-reliance. Your absence is the shovel that unearths it. They may not show it. They may post about their great solo life, but inside a slow panic is building. The control they treasured is gone. They can no longer access you on their terms. The certainty they had that you would always be there as an option has evaporated. This uncertainty is kryptonite to an avoidant. Their whole attachment style is built on predicting and controlling relational outcomes. You have now made yourself unpredictable and uncontrollable. And so the obsession begins, not with you, the whole person, but with the idea of you, with the access to you they have lost. Their thoughts spiral. Did I make a mistake? What are they doing now? Have they moved on? The person they took for granted becomes a phantom they can't stop chasing in their mind. Let's be clear. This is not the same as grief. A securely attached person feels the rupture and processes it. An avoidant suppresses it. They tell themselves a story of relief and independence, but suppressed emotion doesn't disappear. It metastasizes. It waits. Then a song plays. They drive past a familiar cafe. A scent triggers a memory. These small, unrelated events become emotional landmines. Each one is a tiny crack in their armor of indifference. Over time, these cracks connect. The story of "I'm better off alone" starts to sound hollow, even to them. The space they fought for starts to feel less like freedom and more like emptiness. The distractions stop working. The silence becomes filled with the echoes of what was. This is the delayed emotional reaction, and it is powerful precisely because it is so unexpected to them. Here lies the ultimate paradox of the avoidant. They crave the space, but they fear the abandonment that space can confirm. They want to be the one who leaves, not the one who is left. When you walk away, you force them into the role they fear most, the one who has been left behind. Even if they initiated the breakup, your decisive absence reframes the narrative. You are not pining, you are living, you are not an option, you are a closed door. And a closed door is all the human mind needs to start wondering what's on the other side. This is why chasing an avoidant is futile. Your pursuit confirms their fear that intimacy is engulfing, that you need them more than they need you. It keeps them in control. You cannot convince an avoidant to value you by offering more of what scares them, your presence. But your absence, that is a language they are forced to learn. It removes their control and hands them the very thing they claim to want, solitude. And in that solitude, with no one to blame and no one to push against, they are finally alone with their own feelings. This is where transformation can happen, not when you're begging for a seat at their table, but when you've calmly gotten up and left the restaurant. So what do? The strategy is simple in theory, arduous in practice. You stay gone. You do not break no contact when they test the waters with a casual "hey." You do not provide reassurance. You let them sit in the emotional discomfort your absence has created. You allow their delayed processing to run its full course. This isn't about manipulation. It's about breaking a dysfunctional cycle. If you return the moment they feel a twinge of loss, you teach them that their avoidance works, that they can have the emotional safety of distance and the ego security of your attention whenever they want it. The cycle simply resets. True power and the only path to a possible healthy dynamic lies in reclaiming your own narrative. No contact is not a tactic to get them back. It is the process of making yourself whole without them. It is the decision to stop being a character in their anxiety story and become the author of your own. When you do this, something profound shifts. You stop being an option they manage and start becoming a standard they measure themselves against. Your absence becomes a mirror, forcing them to see not just the relationship they lost, but the patterns they perpetuate. Will this make them come back? Sometimes, yes. But often it does something more important. It sets you free. It breaks the addictive hope that they will change if you just love them better. It allows you to see their behavior not as a reflection of your worth, but as a function of their wiring. And if they do return, it will not be because you chased. It will be because they have done the uncomfortable internal work of facing what they feel. They will have to cross the distance they created. The power dynamic will have fundamentally changed. The avoidant mind falls in love through absence, not presence. They realize what they had only when the soundtrack of your life no longer includes them. Your journey is not about waiting for that realization. It is about becoming so grounded in your own worth that their obsession becomes irrelevant to your peace. It is about understanding the psychology so completely that you are no longer confused by their hot and cold behavior. You see the mechanism and you choose not to be its fuel. If this insight into the avoidant psyche has helped you make sense of a confusing situation, then take one more step for your own clarity. Hit the like button. It tells the algorithm this content matters and supports Winds of Thought in creating more guides like this. And subscribe. We explore the patterns of human behavior to help you find not just understanding, but true emotional freedom.